Let's chat with my girlfriend Lucia Diaz about women working in male-dominated industries. Sometimes life just sucks, and sometimes it freaking rocks. We will discuss all the things from family and real estate to travel and just life in general. So take a seat, or don't, you do you, and welcome to the Lumbadass Podcast. Friends, today I have my girlfriend Lucia Diaz here with me. She is a badass working mama, much like myself, and I wanted to talk today about working moms and being a working mom. And I have to tell you, I don't know if this is true for you, but I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, no,
that was not me.
Okay, if you're not watching this, she totally was like, and rolled her eyes like, no, this is, no. So I could tell right away that was not your thing. Okay. I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, I remember telling my mom right after high school that I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. And she's like, yeah, that's unrealistic in times like this. And then Sweetie Pie afforded me to be a stay-at-home mom, which was wonderful. I don't mean afforded me financially. I just mean like made cuts and did what we needed to do.
It worked for you guys.
It worked great until it didn't. And then it was like, oh, so it's funny because I really thought I was going to be the best stay-at-home mom. And when I was a stay-at-home mom, like I took that nonsense. I don't mean nonsense. That shit seriously. Like that is some craziness.
Yeah, look, my mom, she stayed at home with us, but she also ran a business with my dad. They ran their own business.
Oh, okay.
So I saw both sides of it.
Sure.
Like it worked for them.
Yep.
But they raised me to be very independent. So when I went to school, I had a purpose. I knew what I wanted to do. I had a plan. I'm neurotic and I wrote everything down. What I wanted, when I wanted to get married, where I wanted to be in my career, like what I wanted to do.
This is so indicative of who you are, actually, which is so funny.
It makes sense, right? I love my lists. I like to check the boxes.
Yep.
But I had that with my life. Like when I wanted to get married.
And I think you should, because we talk about putting things out there that we want to get in return. And so I think that that's huge. You should be doing that. It's just, I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. I just wanted to have all these babies and stay at home and have a husband who loved me. And I did that for a while. And then it was like, okay, so what's next? I think the turning point for me was people complaining about their husbands and their kids. I vividly remember all the stay-at-home moms, not all of them, but some of the stay-at-home moms that I would hang out with would complain about their husbands or their children. And I'm like, listen, I had my kids for a reason. Like, I like being their mom. Don't get me wrong. There were days where I was like, I am ready to like check myself in.
I need a little bit of help.
Don't get me wrong. But every day, every time, it was so redundant. And I'm like, okay, I need something more than just sitting here and talking about how crappy so-and-so's kids are and how crummy X and X's husband is and stuff like that. So I know that sounds so rude because people still complain about that stuff, and that's fine.
Well, and I think they complain about it too, even if they're working.
I would agree with you. I would agree. But when you don't have anything else, like now I can complain to you about work if I want to. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So you stay on the same the same stuff that you're talking about in regards to what you're used to, what you see.
Yes.
And so you don't have any other new influences coming in other than the same people talking about the same things. That's all you're going to continue to talk about.
I agree. And I love that we're completely different. So tell me, go back to what you were saying about how you made lists on when you wanted to get married. Did you know are we allowed to say what you do and who you work for, or no? Can we just say what you do?
We could say what I do. So I manage a lot of different things. So I'm a manager at a wastewater agency here in Southern California.
Yep.
And so basically I manage the groundwater recharge program, sewer collections. So like all the poop that goes in the sewer lines, I manage those systems.
I was like, no. I mean, thank you. Thank you for managing them.
Someone has to, right?
Yes.
Someone has to do that. And then also the recycled water, the water that we use for like sprinklers, for their irrigation and things like that. So that's part of what I do. And then I also manage the facilities like janitorial services, painting, anything you think about that maintains a building. So I have a team.
Yes.
I have 3 different teams that report to me. All of them, for the most part, are men.
Yeah.
Yeah. The women that I do have working under my group, there's maybe 1, and then the rest are interns.
That's crazy.
My admin's a man, which is like not the norm there either.
That's not the norm at all.
So when I started, I was probably one of the few women that were not either an intern or at that time, back then, it was called a secretary. Now we call them administrative assistants.
Did you know that you always wanted to go into the water district?
No.
Okay.
It was literally a fluke thing that I ended up doing wastewater because I was always in construction. My dad runs a construction company.
Yep.
I worked growing up working for him, went to college. After college, I got a job working for PacSun, the store, clothing store.
Yeah.
I was working for them while I was in college at the mall.
Yeah.
Remember Ontario Mills?
Yes, it's still there. My
Still
kids love going, but it can be sketch sometimes.
It's a little different than it used to be.
It is. It's all good.
I worked there, and they had a job opening at the corporate office, so I applied because I was trying to I knew I wanted to work full-time right after I graduated college. I wanted to make sure I had a job when I graduated.
Yeah.
So I started looking early, and I got a job. So I started working in their construction department probably 3 months before graduating college.
And I'm sorry, did you say that you were interning or you got a job?
I got a full-time job.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was, bottom of the barrel, lower. But
Got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere, and I got a job. And I think about how much I was making at that time hourly, and that's what we pay our interns now.
Oh, jeez.
Where I work. So it's like, man, things have changed.
Right.
But, I loved it. I commuted, went all the way down to Anaheim from, the Inland Empire.
Yeah.
So, it was
Went with
2 hours
traffic.
there. Yeah, 2 hours back.
Mm-hmm.
But I did that for a few years. And then I didn't want to do it anymore. I had a girlfriend that worked for a headhunter.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, we were at a party, and I was complaining about the drive and wanting to change. And she was like, send me your resume.
Okay.
Why? What do you do? She's like, I work for a headhunter. Hello. And I was like, oh. She's like, where do you want to work? I'm like, construction related is fine.
Here we are.
Here we are. I got the job. And mind you, when I interviewed with 3 big burly men.
Yeah.
And I will never forget, one of the men came to get me, and he was the manager at the time. I won't say his name, obviously, but he had his shirt, button-down shirt, open down.
Stop.
With his hair and gold chains, and it was just a completely different environment than I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is going to be for me. And I hadn't even interviewed yet. And so I was like,
Did he greet the men like that too?
yeah, he greeted everybody like that. That was his attire. That was his MO.
Okay.
It was very machismo, very masculinity, out there.
Sure.
In your face.
I'm here for masculine men, by the way.
I love it.
Turn me on. But don't come with your...
We're going to an
Come with
interview.
your freaking shirt all unbuttoned. I don't even care. Wear all the gold chains you want, all that stuff. But the shirt unbuttoned, down to the belly button, not a fan.
No, and
anywhere.
This is for an interview.
True. Be professional.
Space. Yeah, it's professional space.
Okay.
But so I had my interview. I'm answering the questions. I walked out of there. I called my mom. I was like, "Yeah, I don't think I got the job. I don't think it's gonna work out." She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't. 2 hours later, I get a call. So they want to hire you, huh? What? They do? Yeah, they want you back. So we're going to have you start in, we'll get back to you, all the background checks. So 3 months later,
Yep.
I start, and I'm literally the only woman. I started in the construction department in a construction trailer at one of the treatment plants, and I'm the only woman in the trailer other than the admin that sits in there.
That's great. I mean, that makes sense, right? Most men are in construction.
Yeah, and it wasn't the norm.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And I was the only non-engineer.
They probably looked at you like you were an alien.
No, they looked at me like, who does she know? She knows someone here.
Oh.
And it was a little bit of a challenge. I'm like, I don't know anybody here.
Yeah.
So you always, I feel like being the only female, and I was young. I was really young. I was only 24 at the time.
Oh, wow.
I knew I had to work harder and longer.
Okay.
And did more.
To prove it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was questioned every single
time. Who do you know? Or who do you blow? That's probably what they were thinking.
That's probably what they were thinking.
No kidding.
They didn't say it, but there was, I dealt with a lot, and it's probably, it sucks because you don't really think that's what you're going to deal with at 24 years old, working full time after you've got your degree, you've worked a few years already.
Yeah, that's true.
And then this is what happens, and you're like, all right, just,
roll with the punches.
You roll with it.
So
at the time, I didn't feel comfortable going to HR. You just don't know the environment and what's going to happen. And you don't, I didn't want to be categorized as a troublemaker or that woman or make it even more harder for the next person coming in.
And I'm so glad that you're talking about this because it's funny not funny, but just strange because in my profession, I don't have to deal with any of that. Now, don't get me wrong, like I'm sure that does happen.
But it's different. It's a different level.
It's so different. And for me, because I run my own, even though you run your own, division, if you will, because I run my own thing, like I can tell you to go fly a kite and not even think twice about it, where you actually have an HR that you have to report things to and stuff like that in order to take the proper steps. Me, I can be like, fuck off, like leave me alone.
I'm not going to deal with you.
I'm not dealing with you. Don't even look at me. Like, and here's the thing, I can do that without even saying it. Like, I feel like I give off a vibe, and normally my vibe is like super excited,
usually
welcoming.
My face is pretty easy to read. I don't have a poker face. I know, like, you can read me like a
like I did,
book.
I did at the beginning of the podcast.
Yes, you can read me. I'm going to tell you, like, I don't sugarcoat it, which is sometimes not a good thing for me. But it is what it is. I'm very straightforward. You're going to see in my face. I might not say anything, but you're going to know.
You're going to know exactly how I stand. So do you still, now that you've been doing this, I mean, I don't want to say for how long, we don't need to give your age away, but.
It's okay. It's been going on 18 years.
Okay. So do you still deal with this?
I do.
Really?
Probably not.
Even though you're the boss? Like, I mean, I know you're not
I'm
like.
the boss for like the group that I have.
Thank you.
But
yes.
I also I do have my peers and I do have people above me. And then there's my peers with their teams that they have. So the majority of our industry is men. It's predominantly men. There are more women getting into wastewater, into engineering. So back before, our engineering department was the majority were men, and the women I could count on one hand.
Right.
And part of that was interns as well. But now, about 50% are women in the engineering department, which that's not counting the admins that are there, which is amazing. For me, I'm in the operations and maintenance side, which is typically full of women. So we could say that there's maybe 1% of women that work in that division.
So you guys, you're still dealing then with men being inappropriate and saying things?
Not to the extent that I did before, but there's some times where, like, if I really want to, like, beat the bush with it.
Right.
And it's like, hey, like, I don't really need that comment. Or I usually will call the guys out. I don't say it to them in front of everybody because I have a little. You don't want to demean it.
Yeah. Yes.
I usually will text them and be like, "Hey,
that was super inappropriate. Don't do that again."
Yeah. Or do you understand what you just said? Because sometimes they don't even realize it.
That's true.
They don't because they're just used to being with the guys, saying things, and sometimes I have to be careful because I do the same thing. I'm like, oh, the guys, but it's not all guys.
That's a great point, though. Asking somebody, do you realize what you said?
Yeah.
I think that's huge. I'm going to start using that with my kids, too. Like, do you realize what you said? Because how you meant it is probably very different than how it came across.
Right.
So I love that you're taking the time to educate people.
Well, especially if they're close to me, and I'm going to be like, dude. And they even tell me, Lucia, tell me if I fuck up. Just text me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna.
But I expect it back too.
Yeah.
So there's a small group of us that when we're in a meeting and they may not agree with what I'm doing, but I need their support, they're going to support me. And they'll text me, what the heck are you talking about? Like, I don't agree. I go, well, just agree with me for now. We'll talk it through.
I love that. Okay. And then they have your back.
They have my back. So, I didn't have that before. I fought for that.
Well, okay. And not only that, I agree with you. I will also say, because I actually really enjoy working with men, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, I do too.
Because they are very direct. I mean, in all ways, they're very direct, and they will tell you, men typically are less emotional than women. I know we have emotional men, don't come at me, but men are typically less emotional, so they really do.
Well, they communicate a lot differently than we do.
I agree.
And so if they get upset and they're mad about something, they're going to tell you to your face, you're going to argue about it, and then move on. And then they're literally not going to hold it. They're done.
And women are not that way.
They hold it to the grave.
I know.
We'll hold it.
I know.
And oops, I do it too.
Yeah.
There's times where I'm like, I really got to let this go.
Yes.
I really got to let it go. But ultimately, I've learned that working with the men that I do, as long as I have, we've all bonded. We're like a family at work.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yep.
And I love working with them because it's easier for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I don't have to really manage a lot of emotions or things that happen throughout the month, they really have to manage just me and my emotions, because sometimes I'm like,
we're women. It happens.
We have our hormones and things are going, and a lot of times the guys would be like, "Boss, you doing okay today?" And I'm like,
"Oh,
not really." They're like, "Do you need a minute?" Yeah, I probably do.
Oh, I love that.
Close the door.
Yeah,
Please.
that'd be great.
That'd be great.
And women would be like, "Do you want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. How can I help you?" And you're like, "Sis, I just need a minute.
I just need some alone time.
I agree.
Need to focus and do what I gotta do."
So with the good comes the bad. With the bad comes the good. So yeah, I definitely don't want to make it seem like it's all horrible by any means.
No, you just.
But you need to know your place, and then you have to build your place sometimes, like you did.
You really do have to build it, and I see myself as an example for others, because I want them to be able to succeed.
Agreed.
And I don't want them to deal with what I dealt with.
Yes.
So I don't have any patience if they're dealing with it. I will nip it in the butt right away. I go, during this age, no. This time of year, no.
I get it.
We're not dealing with that.
Good. And a lot of times, like you said, they just don't know.
But sometimes they'll make a comment. Like I used to deal with, like I dress a different way now at work.
Well, and I will tell you, and you're always done up. You always have your makeup done. I mean, even when I see you, and we're friends. I mean, it was funny because we went out to breakfast the other day, and we're sitting there, and I was like, I'm horrible. I'm going to admit it right now. I don't wash my face at night.
She does not.
Okay. I don't wash my face at night. I literally sleep in my makeup, and it was so funny because Talia,
you are very lucky.
Yeah, I don't break out. I don't know. I don't know why. Like, and Talia was like, "Oh my gosh, you're like a 1950s wife. Who like gets up and you're already done." And I was cracking up. I was dying. Anyways,
and I go, when she wakes up, I don't know. It's perfect. She wakes up, and it was like.
Which is funny. So anyways, I was like, yeah. And I go, I don't think you guys have even seen me ever without makeup. I've always have some form of it. And she goes, no, I saw you in Havasu because
yeah, you had some look. You had the eyebrows and the eyes, which I did too, but we didn't have all, the
I didn't have the blush and the face powder on or anything. But and then I told her, I'm like, girl, if I don't put on some eyebrows, like I don't have any. So that's why sometimes it's funny actually, because when I'm watching like these podcasts back and stuff, I'm like, oh, my eyebrows don't look good that day.
They say they're not twins or sisters.
Yeah, as I said, they're not twins or sisters. Actually, one of my girlfriends in Bible study told me that. I was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. They're not twins, they're sisters. But even still, I do like my eyebrows to match. Anyways, now everybody's going to notice that when they watch this.
Mine are the same way. I got to fill them in, and then I'm like, well, we'll just go with it for today.
You know what? Or I take a Q-tip and try to do it, and then finally it's like, I'm over this. We're done. I'm not doing this anymore. I got to go. But I will say, in my profession, though, like that's expected, right? Yeah. Like I should be dressed up. If I'm coming over to list your house and I'm coming in sweats and a sweatshirt, I might come in sweats and a sweatshirt to your house. But if I didn't know you, like that would be awkward. If I come with no makeup, then we all got to be concerned, okay?
And I'm like, are you okay?
You feeling all right? Do you need a minute? But in the field that you're in, I wouldn't think that, and maybe this is very prejudiced of me to say, I wouldn't think that you would need to come dressed up, but you do. You always do your makeup. You have your nails done. And I think that that's just a form of self-care for sure. But the fact that you bring it to your work, like...
I feel like I have to set this tone of who I am and what I'm about. And I've had a...
Love that.
Yeah. I had a mentor. I call him an advocate because he was really one that, a mentor helps you and guides you, right? Mm-hmm. But an advocate is there to open the doors for you.
Yeah, for sure.
The mentor will get you to the door, but you need someone to open it.
I love it. Yes.
And he was that for me. And I am grateful to him for everything that he's helped me with, because he basically said, you need to make sure you have everything on paper that they can't tell you no.
I love it.
And that's what I did.
Is he still in your life?
Yeah.
Okay.
I talk to him on a regular. We meet up for lunch. We strategize on what we're doing in our career. He's kind of helped me guide me in my career.
Sure.
Which has been great. And as a mom, I kind of feel like you need that, because sometimes you just get into the monotony of the day-to-day and you don't look and self-reflect of where you really want to be and how is it going to affect the family.
Yes, and I also think it's very important to see where you've come from, though, too, right? Like, how far you've come, rather. So, like, it's funny because anytime I have, like, this self-doubt in me where I'm like, oh, shoot, am I good enough? Like, do I know the market well enough? And it's like I sit here and analyze data. I look at all the stuff.
Right.
Like, it's crazy. So, and then I look, most agents don't do that, but I sit here and I do this and I'm still questioning myself. So I always have to go back and be like,
But
okay,
we all do that.
I agree.
It's just a female thing, and men do it too. But I think us as
Billy, do you
women-
do that?
Do you question yourself?
Every day.
Really? Like in your profession or in your marriage or in your kids, all of the above?
No, I feel like marriage and kids are the one thing I feel rock solid about.
Aw.
But then every day I wake up, should I sell all my camera gear and just get a job? That's how I feel.
But this is a
struggle
job.
with
This
that
is
a
a
lot.
job.
Oh.
You know what? It's the confidence.
You're so good at what you do, Billy.
I
Yes.
appreciate that.
You're amazing at what you do.
I think it's the confidence that sometimes we self-sabotage
Yeah, I agree.
a lot of the times because we don't want to fail. Mm-hmm. And I've learned that failure is a lesson. And that's that my advocate, my mentor telling me, like, it's okay to fail. That's how you learn. And you fix it and you move on from there. Because if you didn't have a lot of failures, you're not going to be successful.
The problem with failing is, in my opinion, social media. And
Yes.
And I think because we sit here and we don't show that as often. It was funny, actually. Somebody the other day, totally left field here. Somebody the other day was talking about me and Sweetie Pie or something like that. And I said, I try to post as real as I possibly can. There was one time where we were not meshing, like we were not communicating well, like we were just having an off week. And I literally took a picture of us. We were at the baseball game. I'll never forget this. We were at the Quakes Stadium watching a Quakes game. I took a picture of us and I was like, we have not been meshing. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I'm like, we have not been meshing well this week. Our communication has been totally off. But at the end of the day, you come back and you try and realign. You're constantly trying to realign. And I put that out there because I think David and I have a great relationship.
You guys really do.
And but I don't ever want anybody to think that it's perfect. It's perfect for us, but it might not work for somebody else. So
Yeah.
anyways, along those same lines, I think that the reason why people don't post more of their failures is because of the stigma that it gives, one, and two, because social media, nobody else does it.
Well,
Maybe we should.
I know. So I'll say this. Like, I felt like my confidence has been, and I told you this, my confidence has been broken probably in the last couple months. Mm-hmm. I went for a job. Sorry, I'm going to get emotional about this, and I shouldn't.
Baby. No, that's okay.
I think it's more of the frustration and disappointment that I get upset about. But I put myself out there for a position that and I think about this now, when I started at that agency, never in my wildest dreams would I even think or contemplate that I would be at the level that I am right now.
Sure.
Let alone be able to apply for a director level position and be able to get an interview.
Right.
And mind you, I went all the way through.
And I'm sorry, can we go back a little bit? You initially weren't even going to apply, if memory serves me right. Somebody said, hey, girl, you need to do this. So somebody else saw that in you.
Yeah. I had quite a few. You're going to apply, right? Yeah, I don't know. You're going to apply, right? Yeah, maybe. I think I think I said it like, I don't know. I think 4 or 5 people told me, you need to apply. Yeah. And then some people outside, and then my advocate, I talked to him and I'm like, well, what do you think? Should I apply? He's like, just do it and we'll prep you. I said, okay, we'll prep. So I got all my ducks in a row, pulled out my resume because I hadn't touched that in like 4 or 5 years. So I added everything else to it, threw myself out there, and I got an interview. I knew I would get one interview.
Yep.
I knew that. And I made sure I was the last person. Here's a little trick for you ladies that do want to get a job or you're working. If you're going to put yourself out there and get an interview, and you make sure you are quick on the draw when you get that call, what ones are available. Usually they have like a list and you can pick. You're either going to be the first one or you're going to be the last one.
Okay.
You don't want to go before lunch.
Okay.
And you don't want to go after they eat.
Okay. So wait, well, if they eat lunch, how do you go?
Because they take a break usually.
Oh, okay.
So usually they'll have one like at 11, 11:30. And they have the next one's at 1 o'clock.
So when do you want to go? You want to go to the 1 o'clock or the 11 o'clock or neither?
Neither of those. You want to go to the last one or the first one.
Okay, so you can go to the first one.
You can go to the first one. Or
you prefer the last, though?
I prefer the last. 'Cause to me, in my head, I'm going to save the best for last because I want them to end with me.
I like that.
They're going to end and they're going to forget about everybody else.
Let me ask you something. Even if they find the person that they love, like in the second interview, will they still interview the rest of them?
Yes.
Because in my profession, if they find the one that they want, a lot of times the first time, they will not go through.
So here's the thing with government jobs. They got to interview everyone that's put in there.
Well, that's something I don't have as a government job. So there's that.
There's that. But yeah, no, I think in the private sector, it's a little bit different. In the government sector, yeah, you really got to they have to go through everybody, and they have to ask everybody the same questions. And, it has to be a fair and even playing field.
I love that. So you did the interview.
I did the interview. I felt good. I walked out of there and I was like, ooh, we went over the time that we had allotted. The bosses were taking notes, and I was interviewing with probably the highest people in the organization, plus someone from the outside at the top tier there. So I'm not interviewing with just managers or directors. It's,
it's high up.
Yeah, it's very high up. So I didn't want to make a fool of myself in the interview too. So I prepped my butt off.
Sure.
I had 3 mock interviews beforehand, like practiced through, Teams or Zoom or whatever.
That's amazing.
And I recorded it so I could see what I did wrong or how I answered things to do better.
Yes.
Took notes. And I took my notes with me because at that level, you can have your stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And I prepped. I had some ideas of what type of questions they would ask in regards to, like, you look up those types of questions. What are you going to do in your first 100 days? What are the issues? What do you think needs to be done? Some questions to ask. I always ask, what are the expectations of this person in the first 6 months?
Right. That's a great one.
My question I asked.
And I would want to know, is there room to grow after this?
Yeah.
Like, where am I going?
Yeah. What is the career path for this position?
Great. Those are great questions.
Those are things that I did. But anyway, so I went through it. I had 3 interviews.
So not only did you get 1,
I got 3.
you got 3.
And all the candidates, all the internal candidates, we all got 3.
Uh-huh.
So it was exhausting.
Uh-huh.
But for me, it was a great experience because I learned a lot about myself in the level that I could get to.
And you did get the position or you didn't?
I did not get the position. So I took it hard. I didn't initially, I was okay, but then other people were disappointed for me. And I was like, well, I'm not as upset.
You're like, I wasn't even going to try for this position.
Yeah, I'm okay. I still love my job. I love my team. I love what I do. But, it's a transition.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then dealing with the person that did get the job and going from, us working together, being friends, to now he's my boss. It's a bit of a transition, and it's been a struggle. But, we learn and we grow, and, we just do what we can and, be the professional person that you need to be.
Well, I will tell you, I am super, super proud of you. I'm proud that you're my friend.
Thank you.
And it really makes me wonder if there's something better coming along for you.
And that's what I figured. I in my head, I'm like, you know what? It wasn't meant to be. Mm-hmm. Not right now.
I agree.
Maybe down the road. And that's okay. Because, my kids are small.
They are. You do have littles.
Elementary school, and then I have a 3-year-old.
Yes.
So, I have this big job and another big job of managing their schedules.
And you're a wife.
Yeah.
You do.
A husband.
You have a lot on your plate. There's no doubt in my mind that if anybody could handle it, it would be you. But I really do believe that something better is coming along for you. So thank you so much for being with me today. I love talking all the things. Will you come back?
Yeah, of course.
You're amazing. All right. Thanks, girlfriend.
You're welcome.